right, so today we're going to do a deep dive on becoming a police trainer. And we're using RoleCatcher's amazing resources.
We are going to be kind of decoding what those interviewers are really looking for when they ask certain questions.
So if you're out there and you're thinking about becoming a police trainer,
this is for you.
Yeah, this is like your cheat sheet, your guide.
Absolutely. And we're going to give you some really solid insider tips from RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, very cool.
Which, as you guys know, can give you that edge to really tailor those answers to different departments.
I love that. Okay, so first, can we just, like, for anyone listening who's like, wait, what does a police trainer even do? Can you just give us a quick rundown?
Yeah, so it's so much more than just, teaching rookies how to handle a firearm.
Right.
You're responsible for training everyone from new recruits to seasoned officers.
Wow.
On everything from the latest laws and defensive tactics to, community policing strategies and crisis management.
So you're shaping, like, the entire force.
Exactly.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is.
Which makes these interviews even more important.
For sure.
So RoleCatcher has this awesome library of real interview questions that people have actually been asked in these interviews. So let's just jump right into those.
Let's do it.
What's the first one?
All right, so let's start with a classic. Can you tell us about your experience in law enforcement?
Oh, yeah. That seems pretty straightforward.
Great.
But I feel like it's not just listing off, like, I was a patrol officer for 5 years. I was,
Exactly. They're not looking for a chronological list of your past roles.
Right.
They want to know how your experience translates to being an effective trainer.
Okay, so it's about connecting the dots.
Yes, connect the dots.
Like, I did this, and this is how that makes me good at this.
Right, and highlight those moments where you've instructed, mentored.
Okay.
Or even just patiently explain complex procedures to colleagues.
Yeah.
Think about those aha moments that you facilitated.
I would love that.
That really demonstrates that you can grasp the material and also convey it in a way that sticks. Right, so if you've ever been like a field training officer, if you've mentored new recruits, or even led like workshops or anything like that, those are like gold.
Gold, absolutely.
Okay.
And then quantify your impact whenever possible.
Ooh, I like that.
Instead of just saying, I train new officers,
right,
you would say something like, I trained a group of 5 new recruits, resulting in a 10% improvement in their firearms accuracy.
No, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's way better.
Way better.
Okay, now what about follow-up questions for this one? Because I feel like they could ask a lot of follow-ups.
Absolutely. They could say, okay, well, tell me more about that time you trained those 5 recruits.
Right. Or what about this specific incident that happened when you were a patrol officer?
Right, and that's where preparation is key.
Okay.
You really want to review your resume, refresh your memory on those key achievements challenges, and be ready to provide concrete examples.
Okay.
Stories are memorable. A well-told anecdote about how you helped a struggling officer improve their de-escalation techniques.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah, because if I was an interviewer, I would want to hear that too.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to question number 2.
Okay.
How do you stay up to date with the latest law enforcement training techniques and trends?
That's a good one.
Yeah, and it's so important because this field changes all the time, right?
All the time.
So it's like, how do you prove that you're not just like stuck in the past?
Exactly. And this question is really probing whether you're actively engaged in that evolving landscape of law enforcement.
Okay.
Or just kind of waiting for someone to hand you a new manual.
Okay, so you can't just be like, oh, I Google stuff.
Right. You want to show that you're really on top of things.
Okay, so what are some good ways to answer that?
So professional development is key.
Okay.
Are you attending conferences, webinars, workshops?
Okay.
Are you part of any professional law enforcement associations?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Do you subscribe to journals or follow thought leaders online?
All great points.
Yeah.
So it's about being like proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly.
Now, RoleCatcher's career guide also mentions that there are some certain certifications that can boost your cred.
Yes. Certifications demonstrate that you've invested time and effort in mastering specific skills.
Right.
And some particularly valuable ones for police trainers include those focused on adult learning methodologies.
Interesting.
Or specialized tactics like de-escalation or crisis intervention.
So it's not just like I'm solidified to, shoot a gun. It's like I understand how adults learn.
Exactly.
Okay.
So mentioning those certifications shows you've done your research and you understand the nuances of adult learning and the challenges faced by modern law enforcement.
And I feel like that could even lead to like a follow-up question like, oh, what are your thoughts on how technology is changing police training.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. And be ready to discuss things like virtual reality simulations or online learning platforms.
That's really interesting. Okay,
Okay.
cool. So that was question 2. Let's move on to number 3. How do you design training programs for police officers? This feels like a really big one
It is a big one.
because it's more than just knowing this stuff, right?
Yeah, you have to be able to create engaging and
Yeah.
effective learning experiences.
Right.
So think of yourself as an architect building a really solid foundation of knowledge and skills.
Okay, so there's like a method to the madness.
There is.
It's like the blueprint.
So start by highlighting the importance of a needs assessment.
Okay.
Before you design anything, you have to understand your audience,
Right.
their existing knowledge, and the specific skills or knowledge gaps you're addressing.
Right, because you wouldn't teach like defensive driving the same way to rookies as you would to like veterans.
Exactly. Different experience levels require different approaches.
Okay.
So then emphasize setting clear learning objectives.
Oh, okay.
What specific outcomes do you want trainees to achieve by the end of the program?
So you're not just winging it. There's like an intention.
Intentional and outcome-oriented.
Okay, what about the actual like content and the methods? Like, is it all lectures or is it more like hands-on stuff?
That's where you showcase your versatility.
Okay.
Would you incorporate role-playing for those interpersonal skills?
Right.
Virtual reality simulations for high-stress scenarios.
Well, that's cool.
Field exercises for tactical maneuvers. The more diverse your toolkit, the better.
It's like a learning buffet.
It is.
So you're trying to keep it engaging and hit all those different learning styles.
For sure.
Now, for follow-ups on this one, I bet they would ask you for like specific examples of programs you've actually designed.
Absolutely.
All right.
Be ready to discuss a successful program you designed, highlighting how you tailored it to that target audience.
Okay.
Chose effective methods, and most importantly, measured its impact.
Oh, yeah, the results.
The results, did you see an improvement in officer performance? A reduction in complaints?
Ooh, data.
Data speaks volumes.
Okay, I love it. So we're moving through these.
We are.
What's number 4?
All right, so question number 4. Can you describe your experience in delivering training programs to police officers?
Okay, so this is where we move from theory to practice.
Exactly. They want to hear about your real-world experience.
Okay.
In the classroom, on the range, or wherever you've conducted training.
So this is like, tell me your war stories, but like in a professional way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Talk about the specific programs you've delivered, the challenges you faced. Maybe you had to manage a group of officers with vastly different learning styles or adapt your approach to a sensitive topic.
Right.
And then tell them how you overcame them.
Okay.
It's all about showcasing your ability to handle those curveballs
Right.
that inevitably come up in a real-world training environment.
And again, quantify.
Yeah.
Give those numbers, give those examples.
Exactly. Instead of saying, I delivered a firearm safety course, you would say, I designed and delivered a firearm safety course for 30 officers,
Right.
resulting in a 15% improvement in their shooting accuracy.
Yes, much better.
Much better.
Okay. What about follow-up questions for this one? I feel like they could ask how you handle feedback from trainees.
Absolutely. Be prepared to discuss how you solicit feedback, what you do with it,
Right.
and how you've used it to refine your teaching.
So it's all about like always learning, always growing,
Exactly.
being open to feedback.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can be incredibly helpful.
Ooh, okay.
Their platform can actually analyze your practice interview answers
What?
and provide personalized feedback.
Okay, how does that work?
So you record yourself answering those practice questions.
Okay.
And the AI assesses your delivery, your content, even your tone of voice.
Wow.
It'll point out areas where you can be more concise, use stronger language, or project more confidence.
That's amazing. So it's like having a little virtual coach.
It is a virtual coach.
I love that.
And the best part is that it's tailored to the specific job you're applying for,
Oh, wow.
using this massive database of interview questions and employer preferences.
Okay, so you're not just practicing, you're practicing with a purpose.
With a purpose.
That's so cool.
It is.
All right, let's move on to question number 5.
Okay.
How do you evaluate the effectiveness of training programs for police officers?
Good one.
Yeah, so it's not enough to just do the training. You have to be like, see, look, it worked.
Exactly.
Right.
You want to demonstrate accountability
Okay.
and ensure that your training has a tangible impact
Right.
on officer performance and ultimately community safety.
Okay, so how do you answer this without being like, I think they learned a lot?
Data.
I love it.
You want to describe the specific methods you use to measure effectiveness.
Okay.
Did you utilize pre- and post-training assessments?
Okay.
Track changes in officer behavior or incident reports
Right.
following a training program?
So if you did a training on de-escalation,
Yes.
you could track how many times officers use force before and after.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Quantifiable data adds weight to your claims.
Makes sense.
And don't forget to emphasize how you use this data to refine your programs. Identify areas for improvement and ensure they're meeting the needs of the department and the community.
So it's like a feedback loop.
It is.
You're constantly evaluating and improving.
Absolutely.
Love it. Okay, what's number 6?
All right. Question number 6. Can you describe a time when you had to adapt a training program to meet the needs of a specific group of police officers?
Oh, okay.
This one is all about flexibility
Right.
and tailoring your approach to different situations.
Because not all police officers are the same.
Absolutely not.
Right.
They come from different backgrounds, different levels of experience,
Different personalities.
different personalities,
Right.
and face unique challenges in their roles.
Exactly.
So the interviewer wants to know you can recognize those differences and adapt your training accordingly.
Okay.
To answer this effectively, you need a powerful anecdote,
Yeah.
a story that demonstrates your adaptability and your commitment to meeting the needs of every officer.
So not just like, oh, I always adapt.
No,
Oh,
it has to be specific and
Yeah.
impactful.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you were tasked with training officers who had a history of using excessive force.
Yeah.
You could talk about how you had to revamp the curriculum
Got it.
to focus more on de-escalation techniques, conflict resolution,
Right.
and trauma-informed policing, drawing on your knowledge of psychology and community relations.
Okay, so you're walking them through your thought process.
Yeah.
Like, here's how I assess the situation. Here are the changes I made.
Yes.
And were the results.
Right. And highlight how your adapted training led to those measurable improvements.
I love it.
Perhaps a reduction in use of force incidents
Okay.
or an increase in positive interactions with the community.
Data, data, data.
Exactly.
Like a theme.
It is.
Okay, I feel like a follow-up on this one could be about, like, cultural sensitivity or diversity training.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's such a big part of policing these days.
It is. And be prepared to discuss how you ensure your materials are inclusive and representative of the communities police officers serve.
That's so important.
It is.
Okay, question number 7. How do you ensure training programs are inclusive and culturally sensitive? This is a big one.
It is a big one.
And it's more than just like not telling offensive jokes, right?
Absolutely. This goes beyond avoiding offensive jokes.
It's like really understanding the nuance.
It's about demonstrating a deep understanding of cultural differences, systemic biases,
Right.
and their impact on police-community relations.
So how do you show that?
So instead of stating your philosophy,
Right.
give specific examples of how you weave inclusivity into your training programs.
Okay.
Do you incorporate real-life case studies that highlight cultural nuances?
Okay.
Do you bring in guest speakers from diverse backgrounds?
Oh, that's good.
Utilize simulations that challenge biases?
I like that.
You really want to turn those abstract concepts
Right.
into tangible learning experiences.
So they can see it in action.
Yes.
Right.
And then you can also mention how you stay informed about current events and social issues that impact police work.
All right. So do you read certain news outlets? Are you involved with community groups, things like that?
Exactly. Do you follow relevant news outlets? Do you engage with community leaders?
Okay.
Attend workshops on implicit bias?
So you're showing them that you are aware of what's going on,
Yes.
right? And you're taking steps to address those issues.
Okay. And I bet the follow-ups here could be about like challenges you've encountered.
For sure.
Right.
Have you ever faced resistance from officers who were uncomfortable with certain topics?
Right.
How did you handle that resistance? Did you adapt your approach?
Right.
Facilitate open dialogue?
So it's about like how do you handle those difficult conversations?
Exactly.
That's really good advice.
Okay, what's next?
All right, so let's move on to a question that's often asked in interviews for more senior training roles.
Okay.
Can you describe your experience in managing a team of police trainers?
Okay, so now we're talking leadership.
Leadership.
But what if someone's listening and they're like, I've never managed a team before?
That's okay. In that case, you can express your enthusiasm for leadership opportunities and your willingness to learn
Right.
from experienced trainers.
Okay.
You could say something like, I'm eager to develop my leadership skills and contribute to a collaborative training environment.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer in mentorship and knowledge sharing,
I like that.
and I'm excited to learn from those who have more experience in leading training teams.
That's great. But for someone who does have experience, what's the best way to answer?
Again, stories are your superpower.
Okay.
Choose a specific example of a time when you successfully managed a team of trainers,
Got it.
highlighting your leadership style and the positive outcomes you achieved.
So, like, did you motivate your team to implement a new training program,
Exactly.
right? Or, like, resolve a conflict between two trainers?
Yes.
Or, like, navigate a budget cut?
Absolutely.
Those are all really good.
Yeah, and don't just tell them you're a good communicator.
Right.
Show them.
Don't tell.
Show them, describe a time when your clear communication averted a potential crisis
Right.
or misunderstanding.
Okay.
And then I'm guessing those follow-up questions would focus on your approach to performance management
Right.
or professional development for trainers.
Okay.
So be ready to discuss how you set clear expectations, provide feedback, and support your team members in their growth and advancement.
So things like, do you do performance evaluations? Do you offer professional development opportunities?
Exactly.
Okay, this is great.
Good stuff.
Question number 9. Oh, this one I feel like always makes me a little nervous.
Okay.
Can you describe a time when you had to handle a difficult situation during a training program?
Right.
Because things happen.
Things happen. Police work is challenging.
Exactly.
And training for it can sometimes bring those challenges to the surface.
And I'm sure they want to know that you can handle it.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
this question isn't about making you sweat. It's about assessing your ability to handle conflict, make sound decisions under pressure, and prioritize the safety and well-being of your trainees.
Okay, so how do you answer this one?
So the key is choosing the right example.
Okay,
You want to avoid stories that make you look incompetent or unprofessional.
right.
Instead, select a situation that showcases your problem-solving skills, your composure under pressure,
Got it.
and your commitment to safety.
So instead of saying, I yelled at a trainee,
Yes.
you would say something like,
You would say something like, a training exercise went wrong and I had to quickly assess the situation,
right.
de-escalate tensions, and ensure everyone's safety while identifying the root cause of the problem.
I like that.
So walk them through those steps that you took to resolve the situation.
Oh, okay.
Did you communicate clearly with the trainees and other trainers involved?
Right.
Did you follow established safety protocols?
Okay.
Conduct a thorough debriefing
I like it.
to identify areas for improvement?
Yeah, because it shows that you're not just like, oh, well, that happened. It's like, how did you learn from it, and how can you prevent it in the future?
And those follow-up questions might delve into that.
Right.
What did you learn from the experience? How do you prevent similar situations from happening again?
Perfect. Okay, last one, number 10.
All right, question number 10. Can you describe your experience in developing and managing a training budget?
Oh, money.
Money.
Okay.
So this is all about demonstrating your fiscal responsibility and your understanding of the financial realities of police training.
But what if I've never managed a budget before?
That's fine. In those cases, you just express your eagerness to learn and develop those skills.
Okay.
You could say, while I haven't yet had the chance to manage a training budget, I'm a quick learner and I'm confident in my ability to grasp those concepts.
Right.
I'm also very interested in exploring the financial aspects of training
I like it.
and ensuring resources are used effectively to maximize impact.
But for someone who has experience, what's the best way to answer?
Okay, so start by outlining your general approach to budget management. Are you familiar with budgeting software?
Okay.
Do you have experience conducting cost analyses?
Got it.
Allocating resources strategically?
So, like, give me the overview and then give me the story.
Then back it up with a specific example.
Okay.
A time when you successfully developed and managed a training budget,
Okay.
highlighting your ability to work within constraints, negotiate for resources,
Right.
and prioritize spending to align with training goals.
So instead of just, like, listing off numbers,
Right.
you're telling a story about your approach.
Exactly.
Right.
Did you have to make tough decisions about where to allocate limited funds?
Right.
Were you able to find creative solutions to stretch your budget without sacrificing quality?
Okay.
Did you successfully negotiate with vendors
I like it.
to secure the best prices?
These are all good details.
Yeah.
And then the follow-ups here, I imagine, would be about, like, specific software you've used
Yes.
or how you handle, like, surprise expenses or budget cuts.
Exactly. Be prepared to discuss those scenarios and how you've navigated those challenges effectively.
Okay. Wow. We just went through 10 questions.
We did.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
But this is like a crash course in police trainer interviews.
It is.
We covered a lot.
We did.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice those answers.
Absolutely.
Get that feedback and really, like, make sure that you are putting your best foot forward.
And we'll delve deeper into that and explore some broader career strategies in part 2 of this episode.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it. Okay, so in the last part, we really dug into some of those tough interview questions that you might get asked if you're trying to become a police trainer.
And I think we really explored how to answer those, not just, by reciting your experience, but really demonstrating your understanding of how adults learn, your commitment to staying current in the field, and even how to approach those curveballs that training can sometimes throw your way.
Yeah, it was like a master class in how to think like an interviewer. But, acing this interview, it's not just about, nailing those questions. It's also about understanding the bigger picture of this career path
Absolutely.
and showcasing yourself as a really well-rounded candidate.
And that's where RoleCatcher's Police Trainer Career Guide really comes in.
Okay, love it.
It provides amazing insights into how to stand out in this field.
Okay.
One thing that really struck me was the importance of understanding those different career stages within this profession.
Okay.
They outline this really clear progression from entry-level positions all the way up to leadership roles like chief police trainer.
So it's not just like a one-size-fits-all kind of job.
Exactly.
There's a whole ladder you can climb.
There is.
Specialize as you go.
Absolutely.
Take on more responsibility.
And showcasing that awareness in your interview can really impress those interviewers because it shows you're not just looking for a job, you're thinking long term.
Right. You're thinking career.
Exactly. You're thinking about growth and development, and that's a huge plus for any employer.
That's so true. But how do you even bring that up without sounding like you're already planning your promotion before you even get the job offer?
Right. It's all about framing it the right way.
Okay.
Demonstrating your ambition, but also humility
Right.
and willingness to learn.
Got it.
So you could say something like, I'm really excited about the opportunity to start as a police trainer and contribute my skills to this team, but I'm also eager to learn from the experienced trainers here and explore those different career paths as I grow.
Oh, that's really good.
So you're highlighting your ambition without, being presumptuous.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, now RoleCatcher also mentions certifications as a key factor in boosting your credibility.
They do, and they go beyond just listing generic certifications.
Okay.
They talk about the ones that are really valuable specifically for police trainers.
Okay, like what?
Things like adult learning methodologies or specialized areas like de-escalation tactics or crisis intervention.
So it's showing that you're really committed to those best practices.
Yeah, exactly. And that you understand the specific challenges that law enforcement faces today.
And I feel like this kind of ties back to that question we talked about in part one about staying up to date.
Absolutely.
Certifications are a really concrete way to show that.
Yes, it all comes full circle.
Okay, love it. Now, another thing that I thought was really interesting in RoleCatcher's Guide is they talk about showcasing your capabilities beyond just, your resume and what you say in the interview.
Yes.
They suggest creating a portfolio
Yes.
of training materials that you've developed or presenting at conferences or workshops or even like writing articles or books on law enforcement training.
Yeah, they really emphasize the importance of going above and beyond.
But that's a lot.
It is.
Especially for someone just starting out, like they might not have had those opportunities yet.
Right.
So what are some things that maybe someone who's just starting out could do?
RoleCatcher actually suggests building an online presence
Oh, interesting.
through a professional website or a blog.
Okay.
It's a great way to share your insights. Engage with other professionals and really showcase your passion.
So even if you haven't led a huge training program or written a book,
Right.
you can still show that you're a thought leader in this area.
Exactly. You're taking ownership of your professional brand and showing initiative.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we talked about understanding the career path, highlighting valuable certifications, building that online presence.
Right.
What other insights does RoleCatcher offer?
They emphasize the importance of networking,
Okay.
which I know can sometimes feel a little daunting.
It can, especially in a field like law enforcement, which sometimes feels a little bit hierarchical.
Right.
But I guess building relationships and learning from those who are already doing the work is so crucial.
It's so important, and it doesn't have to be about those stuffy, formal events.
Okay.
Or trying to impress people, in high-ranking positions.
Right.
They suggest things like joining professional organizations, attending conferences,
Right.
but also participating in community events
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
where you might interact with officers or trainers in a more casual setting.
Right. You're just building those relationships.
You're building relationships, and who knows, those connections might even lead to job opportunities down the road.
Oh, that's so true. Networking is so valuable. Okay, now let's circle back to those interview questions for a minute.
Okay.
We talked earlier about how RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your practice answers and give you personalized feedback.
Yes.
Can you give me a little more insight into how that works?
So imagine this. You record yourself answering a practice question, like, describe a time when you had to adapt a training program to meet the needs of a specific group of officers.
Well,
And then RoleCatcher's AI goes to work.
okay.
It analyzes your delivery, your content, your tone of voice,
Wow.
even flags any areas where you could improve.
It's like having a personal coach.
It really is like a virtual interview coach.
I love that.
And it might suggest, using stronger action verbs,
Okay.
making your answer more concise, or even projecting more confidence in your voice.
So it's not just telling you what to say, it's telling you how to say it.
Exactly. And the best part
What's the best part?
is that it's tailored to the specific job you're applying for.
Okay.
It uses its database of interview questions and employer preferences
So you know what they're looking for.
to make sure you're practicing the skills that matter most to that specific department.
That's amazing.
You're practicing with a purpose.
I love that. Okay, so before we wrap up this part, I want to touch on something else that RoleCatcher mentions in their guide, which is the importance of crafting a compelling narrative about your career journey.
Oh, yes.
What do they mean by that?
They mean going beyond just listing your qualifications and accomplishments.
Okay.
It's about connecting the dots
Okay.
between your past experiences, your skills, your values, and your aspirations
Right.
in a way that really resonates with interviewers.
So it's like a story that makes them say, this person gets it.
Exactly.
They understand what it takes to be a great police trainer.
And they have the passion and the drive.
Yeah, and that's actually what we're going to be diving into in the next part.
We are.
We're going to explore how to weave that personal narrative into your answers.
Yes.
Really highlight those strengths,
Yes.
showcase your values, and leave a lasting impression.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Me neither. All right, so we're back for the final part of our police trainer interview deep dive.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about this because we're going to talk about crafting that personal narrative.
This is where it all comes together. We've talked about those tough interview questions.
Right?
We've explored those career strategies.
Right.
And even how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra edge. But now it's about showcasing you.
Right, like the real you.
The real you, your authentic self.
Okay, I love it. But where do we even begin?
It all starts with reflection, Take some time to really think about your journey. Why did you choose a career in law enforcement?
Okay.
What experiences have shaped your beliefs about training and development?
Okay.
What kind of impact do you want to make on the officers you train and the communities they serve?
Those are some big questions.
They are, but it's about moving beyond what you've done to why you do it.
Okay, so it's like the motivation behind it all.
Exactly. It's about revealing that driving force behind your career choices.
I like that. Okay, so once you've done that soul searching,
Yeah.
how do you actually weave those insights into your interview answers?
It's about finding those natural opportunities to connect your experiences to the questions they ask.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say they ask about a time when you had to adapt a training program to meet the needs of a specific group of officers.
Right.
Now, don't just describe the situation and the changes you made. Take it a step further.
Okay, so instead of just saying I had to make the curriculum more culturally sensitive.
Right. You might say something like, I noticed that the standard curriculum wasn't really resonating with some of the officers, many of whom came from diverse backgrounds and had different perspectives on community policing. So I drew on my own experience growing up in a multicultural neighborhood and working with community leaders to develop a more inclusive and relevant training program.
Wow, that is so powerful because it shows not just what you did, but why you did it.
Exactly. And it gives those interviewers a glimpse into who you are as a person.
Right.
Your values, your experiences, your passions, all those qualities that make you a unique and valuable asset to their team.
I'm getting chills. That was so good. Okay, but what about those questions where there's not an obvious connection to your personal journey?
Even then, you can find ways to highlight your strengths and your values. So let's say they ask about your experience managing a training budget.
Okay.
You could say something like, I've always been very mindful of the financial realities of police work. I believe that every dollar invested in training needs to be used wisely to have the greatest impact on officer performance and community safety. So when I managed the budget for the X program, I was very meticulous about tracking expenses, exploring cost-effective alternatives, and ensuring that every decision aligned with our overall training goals.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. You snuck it in there.
I did.
You didn't even have to go off on a tangent. You just wove it in so naturally.
And remember, this isn't about creating some fake persona
Right.
or pretending to be someone you're not.
Right. Be yourself.
Be authentic, be true to yourself, and let those genuine qualities resonate with those interviewers.
I love it. Okay, so as we wrap up this amazing deep dive, What is the one piece of advice you would give to someone who is about to step into that interview room?
Preparation is key. Absolutely. Study those interview questions,
Right,
practice your answers, and really get comfortable talking about your experience and your goals.
right,
But don't forget that human element. Connect with those interviewers.
right.
Share your passion for police training and let them see why you're the perfect person to shape the future of law enforcement.
That was beautiful. And remember, listeners, RoleCatcher has so many resources to help you on this journey.
They do.
From their AI-powered feedback tool
Yes,
to their library of career guides and interview questions.
they've got you covered.
They do. And most importantly, believe in yourself. You've got this.
You have valuable skills and experience to offer.
Right.
And with the right preparation and the right mindset, you can absolutely ace that interview and land your dream job.
I love it. That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
It is.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic to explore. Until then, stay curious and keep learning.